again. Wanted to do another video here and have no excuse to do some video editing. So what I want to talk about today is the Bond. Now this is actually just another MGP bottle, but I'm going to get into that a bit more because I think this is something special. As far as the stats on this particular Bond is the Bond Eternal Straight Bourbon Whiskey. They do have another one that is a 4-year-old cask strength, I believe. But this is their Bond Eternal, and it's bottled in bond, so 50% ABV, and it's actually 7 years old. Now, MSRP on this is $80, so you are a bit over that $10 per year. And just looking at the stats of this is something that I normally would never touch. The reason I actually did buy it is I was able to try this at the Blind Pig in Bardstown, and normally something like this, just based on the stats, I would just laugh at. I wouldn't ever consider buying something that's just MGP. It's only bottled in bond, and it's $80. However, when I tried this, it was kind of immediately something that stood out and it was special. I think to start off, I guess it's kind of a bold statement. I think this bottle right here is what I want low proof MGP bourbon to taste like. This feels pretty flawless. It's shocking. I've never really had good and like MGP this good. This is a blend of a few barrels, and if you go on their website, they're very transparent, which is really cool. Now, I think it could potentially be a Bardstown exclusive. It was $80. MSRP is $80. However, of course, I went to a Kroger in Bardstown and saw it for $60. Darn. But let's get into the tasting notes. Typically, with all MGP, you kind of get that sweet orange up front. This has a bit more oomph to it, a bit more body. I think there's a sweet floral orange, very bright and nice, but with that also a tiny bit of cherry and sweet wood. It smells very woody, but it's not dry oak, which I am very sensitive to dry oak, and I don't really like it that much. This is just kind of like a nice, sweet, sugary wood, and I appreciate that a lot. Other than that, it's just got the classic bourbon notes. The nose and palate, I think they're great. I'm not saying that they're going to be the thing that kind of pushes it above. I do still think it is what I want MGP to taste like. Maybe it's because it is only 50% that I'm not completely wowed, but I really like it. Where this stands out for sure is definitely the finish. This is one of the better finishes, I think, I'm just trying to look at my shelf here. And I had this on again not that long ago. This is probably one of the best finishes on my whole shelf. You get that sweet, savory orange throughout the entire palate, and it continues on the finish. But with that, it turns into chewy, sweet, leathery wood, and with that, at the same time, you're still getting that vanilla sweetness, the butterscotch, and then behind all that, because this is a high-ish rye blend, you get this black pepper spice that is almost like red pepper flakes, and it just is so pleasant, and it just goes and goes and goes. It does not seem like it's 50% because the finish is so long, and for only 7 years old, I mean, it's starting to get up there in age, but I'm just shocked how intense the finish is. And this is really what convinced me to get it. The finish is shocking. I mean, it is unbelievable. I really mean this. There's not really many whiskeys that I've had that have this fantastic of a finish. Man, I can't complain. It really seems flawless. Everything is it just feels so intentionally added and crafted. And that's what I mean when I say this bottle, I think, is, for me, the benchmark of low proof MGP. Now, to give sort of a more sentimental aspect to this brand, the other reason that I really enjoy it, this probably won't be the most accurate explanation of the brand itself, but it essentially seems like it's three college friends that would do anything to have a drink with lost friends again. And that's why it's called the Bond, and if you can see it, even on the label, it's got a human hand and then a skeleton hand. Still human, I guess, right? And on the back, it describes that it's kind of weird getting sentimental over alcohol. Sentimental over really anything if you really want to break it down, but it is something that seems to be inherently human, to become emotional or tie emotions to something. And really the story of this really has kind of changed how I will almost want to look at every single one of my bottles. Every single one of my bottles now, I want to tie a great memory to. And not only because of what this brand is going for, but because this brand represents my time going to Bardstown at the Blind Pig and having a great time. And even the first video I put back on this channel again, the Southern Collective bottle, I'm never going to forget my time at Southern Collective. If I just look over at my shelf, I see Glenmorangie 10. That's one of the first scotches I ever got. And I remember in my old apartment opening in, trying and just being wowed that for the price, this is one of the best scotches I've ever had. And as far as that eternal bond, it really made me think of a professor that unfortunately he passed away. My brother and I would get dinner with him, and it was the day after we turned 21. He found out, and we were at a small Italian restaurant, and they had Peroni on tap. Now, Peroni is for sure one of my favorite Euro pale lagers. But yeah, that may have been like the first like real good beer I had. And let me get something. So now I actually have a glass, a Peroni glass that I have bought. This is not the exact one, obviously. However, this was the same type of glass that it was served in. And I found this at an antique mall, and it's things like this, that sentimental value, that is, like I said, what maybe makes whiskey special. It's what makes objects special, even if that does seem shallow. I think this brand, it's kind of odd that I normally never fall for marketing, but because it's good whiskey, and I think it's something that we can all relate to, losing or potentially losing loved ones, I just can't help but look not only at my whiskey, but every time I buy a beer, have a beer, I want to attach some fond memory to. Maybe that's kind of corny, and maybe I really have just fallen for the marketing, but maybe I'd suggest you doing the same, because it's fun to look at everything and look at it in a nice, different light. So I thought of a better way to end the actual videos on here. I am going to keep on saying don't subscribe, don't like. That is very much in my personality. What I also want to add at the end of these videos is just what music I've been listening to. I'm always trying to find new bands, new anything. Right now, doing Grapevine Gossip. They came out with an album in August. It's a bit weird. It's an odd swan chord. It's a bit high-pitched on quite a few of the songs. They got some cringy things on purpose. It's pretty good. If you know what swan chord is, and you want something different, give it a listen. There's a reason this channel is going to be, or I decided to name it Punk Whiskey Kid. I definitely have a background in that type of music.